G'day. This is Cece from Generation Wellness Global, and I wanted to talk today about what we call in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints the word of wisdom. So it's really interesting because I've only come into the church more recently in the last few years, and they have it wasn't originally given as a commandment, it was a revelation called the word of wisdom, which is about trying to maintain our physical health as well as our spiritual health, but particularly some guidelines around physical health. And I find it really interesting, and I'm going to go into a little bit of why. So the revelation actually says, "Thus saith the Lord, in consequence of evils and designs which do and will exist in the hearts of conspiring men in the last days, I have warned you and forewarned you by giving unto you this word of wisdom by revelation." So, in consequence of evils and designs in the last days. So we're being prepared and warned that we need to be really mindful of our health and our choices. And I find it really interesting. So I'll read a bit more about it. It's basically, don't drink anything, don't use addictive substances, use wholesome herbs God hath ordained for the constitution, nature, and use of man, every herb in the season thereof, every fruit in the season thereof. The flesh of beasts and the fowls of the air I have ordained for the use of man with thanksgiving. Nevertheless, that it be used sparingly, and it is pleasing unto me. Everyone seems to miss this bit. It is pleasing unto me that they should not be used only in times of winter or of cold or famine. So essentially, it's pleasing to God if we don't eat the flesh of beasts and fowls of the air. Grain is ordained for the use of man, etc., etc. All saints who remember to keep and do these sayings, walking in obedience, shall receive health in their navel and marrow to their bones, and shall find wisdom and great treasures of knowledge, even hidden treasures, and shall run and not be weary, and shall walk and not faint. And I, the Lord, give unto them a promise that the destroying angel shall pass by them as the children of Israel and not slay them. That's a pretty huge promise. So I think it's worth really considering the choices that we're making. Now, on the church website where it gives a summary of this, I've had to take some photos off the website because I can't use my computer while I'm recording on Zoom. So since its introduction, prophets have talked about the importance of following the word of wisdom. They've taught church members to avoid substances that impair judgment or are harmful or highly addictive. Okay, so I'm going to throw a massive spanner in the works here and say the most addictive substance on the planet today is sugar. And it's not listed, so people avoid talking about it. But sugar is massively addictive, and I just find it really interesting that it says, in consequence of evils and designs which do exist in the hearts of conspiring men in the last days, I've warned you and forewarned you. Be healthy, make good choices. And I find that really interesting in light of the fact that sugar is so pervasive in Western diets now. It's literally an additive into every food that you buy that's processed. And because it's not listed in the original word of wisdom, people just kind of skirt around it. And so I'm just going to be controversial and just chuck myself right in the middle and say sugar's bad. Corinthians, I'm finding it hard to read this. shall not defile the temple of God. Oh, those who shall defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy. For the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are. So yes, there are the houses of God, but also our body is a temple. And if you defile the temple, him that defiles the temple shall God destroy. For the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are. So they're pretty big words too. Like, if you defile the temple, God will destroy you. That's like not a small thing, I would think. A couple of other passages that I found really interesting. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, so we have additional scriptures to the Bible as another testament that supports the Bible. And interestingly, Alma 46 verse 40, there were some who died with fevers, which at some seasons of the year were very frequent in the land, but not so much so with fevers, because of the excellent qualities of the many plants and roots which God had prepared to remove the cause of diseases, and to which men were subject by the nature of the climate. I think I need to do another whole video just on that passage, because it's not strictly about the word of wisdom, but it's about God, the qualities of plants and roots which God had prepared to remove the cause of diseases. So we're supposed to be using plants and roots and things that God created for us. And diet is a really big component of maintaining health, as we know. And I just think that's so incredibly powerful. And as someone who has come from a science medical background and now understands the power of natural remedies, and I'm a huge advocate for essential oils, and I teach essential oil classes. If you want to join one of those, please get in touch. But that just blew my mind when I read that. And I don't know how many times I've read the Book of Mormon and went, oh, I've never noticed that passage before. That's really important. This is really interesting as well. Whosoever among you are sick and have not faith to be healed, but believe. So you have faith that you have faith in Jesus Christ, but you don't have enough faith to be healed with a blessing. So whoever among you are sick and have not faith to be healed shall be nourished with all tenderness with herbs and mild food. So let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. I thought that was a really powerful passage as well. But if we have the faith to be healed, we can be healed. That's a gift of the Spirit. So I find that really interesting. I believe the most addictive substances that we are facing, and we're not even addressing it with children because it's not listed in the word of wisdom, but the most addictive substances we're dealing with is sugar and screens. Screens change the neurotransmitter pathway chemistry, connecting pathways and processes in the brain to an addictive pattern. We're actually creating a whole generation of children that are wired for addiction. It's actually really scary. But there's a really good book about, I think it's Gillespie, talks about how we're creating the first generation of every child has that addictive predisposition programmed into their mind because they spend childhood with screens, and some less or more than others, I know, but it's really daunting, because what happens is that those chemical pathways that are created, they're not specific. Like, addiction's not specific, so you might create it to screens and sugar in childhood, but that can easily change to other substances in adulthood, and that's a really disturbing prospect. when you think about. So I'm throwing my hat in there to say, here's the elephant in the room when we're talking about the word of wisdom. I think it's a really big thing that we need to, and some people are really trying and striving. Like I see a lot of women in the church who are really trying to be healthier, but then the kids don't get the same program because, oh, they're just kids. They don't have to worry about it yet because they're just kids. And I just think, this is part of why I want to create this channel and offer healthy, simple solutions and recipes, because we create behaviors and patternings and brain chemical pathways and patterning at a very young age, and then we have to. It's a lot more work to undo that as we get older, rather than create something really positive in the very young people. And I'm the crazy lady because I'm all about being really healthy and trying to. And I've kind of made a rod for my own back as well, because I know that it's very hard to buy food that meets that criteria. You kind of have to make it. And so that's why I want to help you. If you are trying and there's something you need help with, please reach out, because I'm going to try and share simple recipes that help change things for us in big ways, because it is hard. It's overwhelming and daunting to try and step outside. But we're in they talk about the trial of riches. We are in the trial of riches because everything's convenient and everything's it's much easier. There are much easier paths than the one I've walked in terms of making everything from scratch and learning how to keep your kids natural and healthy. And so I get that. I get it. And people are so busy and it's so hard to even contemplate. But there are simple things that you can do. And if there's something that you're looking for, a simple recipe or substitution or something, please reach out and I will do my best to find you a solution, because sometimes it's just I remember when I knew that making my own almond milk would be really easy, and I still don't do it most of the time, but I knew making my own almond milk would be really easy, and I just couldn't. I couldn't take on one more thing. I couldn't learn one more thing. I couldn't try one more new thing. I just couldn't. So I get that we get to that point, and it's not about trying to do it all at once, but absolutely we need to start really taking a reality check of what we are doing and trying to find simple ways to maybe substitute something healthy or do something a slightly different way that creates different outcomes and behaviors for our kids in the long term. So that's a really I'm just calling the elephant in the room here, because yes, there are many addictive substances, but we're not talking about the ones that are really affecting our kids. And well, I don't know about you, but I find that conversation is a little bit awkward with most people. And so I'm sorry if this is if I'm not trying to sound judgmental or anything, but I think we need to call it and really start looking at what can we do differently or better, or how do we support each other to there's so many simple ways that we can just make small improvements, and we've all just got to keep trying to do better little bit by little bit. And hopefully by small and simple things, great things are accomplished. All right, take care, guys. Let me know your favorite simple recipe that has really helped you shift things for your family.